Professor Proppa's lecture is now starting. Professor Proppa's lecture is now starting. Hey folks, Professor Proppa here. Coming to you with an interesting new concept we're going to call fact or fiction. So in my YMIR gameplay beginner tips video, I talked about how with his ult it's better to shoot off because it'll get them close to the edge of the map. And someone commented that when you jump off the map in Snowball, it shoots the enemy up instead of forward, so it's usually not better to do that. So I decided, I'm not sure about that, but let's test it out and see if this person is correct. And what I'm about to show you is my findings. So for the first set of tests, we tested what would happen if you ult in Snowball with a high vulnerability character, with a high percentage of vulnerability / damage. And it turns out whether you have momentum or not, whether you're just chilling on the ledge or if you are jumping off, they will die because their vulnerability levels are just so high that it does not matter what you do except maybe be on the center of the map and ulting. For the next round of tests, I decided to look at a mixed group of vulnerability percentages. First, as you can see, without a jump. And then we do it with a jump. And what you saw with that one, and you're going to see here, those with high vulnerabilities, they shoot out on diagonal. Those with less, especially less than 50%, they shoot a little more upwards. So the commenter was correct in that point. But we need to find out if it's better to jump off or not. So we're going to see this is the one without jump off, and now we're going to go slow. We're going to see we're about a quarter to fifth of the way from the center. And then the low, like the 16%ers, they go towards the middle. Maybe a little beyond, but that's less than halfway to the wall if you're going to look. You can tell by the points right there. They just touch outside the white line. You see where YMIR is, that's about a quarter of the way. So we'll say it's about a quarter for the non-jump. Now let's look at, with the jump, how far those low vulnerability go. So here we go. Here we go. Got a mix. We've got a 16 in that group. And then with the jump around midway, we're going to shoot them out. We're going to pay attention to that 16%, which has gone up to about 22%. Now we see when we ulted, we're right around the red line, midline. That 32% is more than a quarter. That is going over halfway. Now remember, when we ulted, he started, that Amaterasu started at 16%. So the jump did take that Amaterasu farther. Yes, there is a slight difference between the experiment 1, which is the no jump, and experiment 2 with the jump in terms of the percentage of vulnerability between the two, which might impact the results a little. But let's look at a real world example, which was in my video, and it's the one about to come up. This one right here. So we got a 48, a 50, some a 49%, 79, 85. That 49 should not be able to go and die off of it, but it just did. And that's because we went off. And the reason why you might think, well, maybe even if the commenter is correct that you shoot up, well, there is only so much space with the ledge. Between the ledge and the end of the map, the edge of the map. It's a finite distance. So if you jump off, you are closing that distance. And if they don't just, as long as they are above like even 0 vulnerability we saw in the previous tests, that still goes beyond just being shot up. In all the cases, even at the 0 vulnerability, and you can go and look back because there was in the first test someone 0 vulnerability, they still went about a quarter of that cube. So they're still shooting outwards, which means if you jump off the ledge towards the edge of the map, you're shortening that distance. And then it's a less distance between the edge of the map and being jumped off than is between the ledge and the edge of the map. So it's still worthwhile jumping off in your Snowball just because of pure mathematics. Let alone the fact that if you're ulting, you're not going to use an enemy with 0% vulnerability typically they will have a higher percentage, which means that, as you saw, the higher percentage of vulnerability, the farther you will shoot out. So I would say it is more useful to jump off almost every single time compared to not jumping off, based off these results of the testing. Now, these aren't totally exhaustive, so you can probably find some arguments against it, but I think we found some empirical data as well as primary research that would back up my thoughts on whether this is fact or fiction. And I would say it is fact that it's better to jump off the map and you're using your YMIR Snowball ULT than not, and just sitting at the edge.